Why has it taken you 12 years to make another film?
Because I don't abuse my privilege. I've learned more, I think, sitting on my edit than I have doing prep or doing, while I was writing. Single screens have kind of died. I feel a crisis for our industry. Day we did a 99 rupee ticket for Women's Day, every single cinema was full. When your popcorn is 450 rupees and your ticket is 300 rupees, it just becomes really difficult.
Varun Dhawan told me he auditioned
The
for
Big Heart.
Big Heart. Everybody knows Amir Ghosh directs his film. I believe he wanted to do Ravi Kishan's role and you said nothing of that rubbish you can't do.
Really enjoyed Rangila. I feel like he's great in Big Heart. We took a little bit of time to untie it in a nice way. I mean, his kids are very, very dear to me. I think looking at the glass half full rather than half empty.
She's just back after a hectic pre-Oscar buzz round of interviews and all of that. I'm in conversation with Kiran Rao, who's made unarguably the finest film of the year. Thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thank you. Intro.
How do you process all this? You made your film some 1-2 years ago, and suddenly everything is just blown out of proportion. And hearty congratulations for that. But when you look at it, like when you do trade screenings or you do screenings with certain groups, or what goes through your mind at that point?
Interesting you ask, because actually I was thinking about that on my way here. Is that actually for me the film was completed when we released it in India. For me that was the goal, to show it to audiences in India, and of course we did an international release, and it went well. It got a new wind after it came on Netflix, and it ran for like 100 days. It really became a loved film on Netflix. So I had actually like sort of packed it up and put it nicely away in the cupboard, because I was really happy with the love we'd received. So to actually take it out of cold storage again and travel with it, it was a whole bunch of reliving old memories, going back down the route of remembering stories to, you know, trot out in front of a whole new audience. But the great thing was the response. The film tends to warm an audience up, and they're all really, have lovely questions, and it's fun to share, and that's the reason we made the film. So honestly, the way I'm kind of processing it is that this has been a great opportunity to show it to a new audience, to share that we make all kinds of films and we have all kinds of stories in our country. We, along with the problems, we're also interested in, sort of looking to new ideas and sparking sort of solutions out of these films.
Is the Western gaze very different for your film than, say, the Asian gaze? Did you see any stark sort of takeaways?
It was in certain pockets, the kind of like disbelief that a girl would not have seen her husband before marriage, or that they can't take their husband's name. They were very perplexed about that. They were like, why? What is this thing about not taking?
So they did have that.
There were questions like that. But honestly, I think those were like small sort of cultural differences that one had to just, sort of contextualize for them. But otherwise, people really connected with the heart of the film. So there wasn't so much of, kind of like, how is this happening? That level. They kind of bought into the film, but they marveled at, how does this happen? Like, how is it possible?
But someone like you who has so much agency yourself, was there disbelief when you were writing a story like this?
So this story, actually, when Biplab wrote it and I read it, it was just laugh out loud, funny, the idea of a switch because of a veil. And when I dug a little deeper, I realized this is quite routine. It has happened many, many times, and it's common. Like, because also at a certain time of year when a lot of women are getting married, and this confusion has happened. My driver, actually, when the film came out, said, "ये तो मेरे गांव में हुआ है, वो बस में चली गई थी, फिर वो वापस आ गई." This happens. It's not unheard of. I just loved it as a starting premise for like the idea of finding oneself, searching for one's identity or purpose, or what one gives one joy. It was just a great starting point. Because I mean, I do come from a very different world than the one in the film, and I think it helped that kind of, we had an amazing writer in Sneha Desai who wrote this in a way that played up the satire and played on the fact that while it was really funny, you were also really feeling for the characters. That okay, it's a ridiculous, outlandish kind of thing to happen, but there's also this human angle where this girl is lost, and you're worried for her. So I think it was the writing that helped make it
There's a
believable.
very lyrical quality in your filmmaking.
Mm.
There's a lots left unsaid, and yet it's very pro-feminist. Uh, who was your favorite character in the film?
I have to say Manju Mai,
Yeah.
because in some ways I kind of contributed to the creation of Manju Mai. In the original story, there was no such character, and I really felt that there was a need to have a strong, independent woman as sort of, if not anything, a mentor for Pool, but also someone who can embody the alternate, the possibilities that are there. There's so many women who are single, independent, look after sometimes their entire families. And Sneha then just brought this character to life, and I just absolutely loved what she had done with this character of Manju Bai.
You come from super privilege,
Hmm.
okay, but why has it taken you almost 12 years to make another film? Not taking away from the fact, I mean, there is a lot of, obviously, you would have faced the cynicism then. Oh yeah, it's easy for her, she's a
Hmm.
superstar's wife, and it lubricates her access to everything. Everything is at
Correct.
but why so long is my question.
Because I don't abuse my privilege. I certainly feel hugely privileged to make a film. People work really long and hard to get where I've got, and I've worked long and hard also. And I don't want to just make a film because I can. I mean, I want to make a film when I feel like it's absolutely urgent that this film be made. Either personally, which was Dhobi Ghat, I just really absolutely wanted to explore what it is to live in Bombay, what how these different worlds intersect,
Collide.
how these people actually from very very different backgrounds find connections. That was very interesting to me, and I personally had to tell that story, and I did. And this film was, I just had to tell it because I felt this was just such a novel and fun way of exploring so many things that I have observed, maybe not personally struggled with, but certainly struggled with intellectually, and like ethically, and felt like I have so much. It's so upsetting to see what so many other women go through, right? I'm the kind of person whose parents told her, please be financially independent. They didn't say, go get married. They were like, don't depend
Wow.
on anyone. That was their advice to me, which I think is easily the best advice you can give any young person. Is just do whatever it is. I mean, as long as it's legal, and look after yourself. And how many women have that privilege? It
Hmm.
was so. I certainly don't want to abuse it. I also worked behind the scenes long enough to know that I really love to produce, and I like the idea of like writing and building projects, but I did want to direct really badly, and I didn't have a project that was ready to for me to make, even though I had so many stories which I'm now making. And I've been on this film for like almost 6 years. So out of the 13 years that it took me, 7 years, okay, I was busy enjoying my son,
Huh.
but yeah, the other six I was kind of working on this.
So, what would your advice be to some woman director wanting to make a film? What would your advice be to any of them?
I mean, please go out there and make films. Come join us. Like there's space for all women, all kinds of people. We need more voices in this industry, and we certainly
Like,
want
what are the
more
do's
women.
and don'ts?
Well, I would not. There are, I mean, obviously the don'ts are, don't let people exploit you, don't let people mansplain to you, don't let people make you feel like your, sort of perspective or your voice is not valid. Be assertive, or at least as you're learning, uh, find your voice and assert it. But the do's are just do everything. Every part of filmmaking teaches you. I've learned more, I think, in sitting on my edit about everything about filmmaking than I have doing prep or doing, while I was writing. So there's like every aspect of filmmaking is so in some way kind of inspiring. So do everything.
Somebody told me you were the hardest working AD on Lagan, and I remember reading the Lagan book where I think once Amir turned up late, and you said you and Apurva said no, let's go without him or
Yeah.
something to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
effect. But what did you learn and unlearn? You worked with Ashutosh. You were on Monsoon Wedding with Meera. So are there some lessons that you've learned from where which you've used and unlearned also?
Yeah, I mean, I think from Ashu, it was how to run a really a set where everyone can be their best, do their best. Both from Amir and Ashu, I think on Lagan, I kind of learned the importance of valuing every member of your crew, because it was my first film, and still I wasn't treated like some, with disrespect. There was a sense of respect for your job, and of course we would get like properly bawled out if we didn't do our jobs properly, but the respect for your job. And with Meera, it's just the enthusiasm and excitement to get a story made. She's like a full powerhouse of energy, and I think that's really inspiring to see the way she works with actors, the way she works with her crew. There's this genuine excitement and passion in her filmmaking style, and that I really, really learned from.
And
After so many decades, there was that childlike excitement.
yeah, and unlearned.
Well, Ashu, I would say, I mean, I think I haven't yet unlearned. Is we take quite long to do. He takes. We were on prep on Swades for like 2+ years, prep. We like 1.5 years of prep. We made lots of commercials in between. I was working with him on ads and other things, but the film took really long to get on the floor, and that's what happened a little bit with mine as well. Actually, mine was because of COVID, but yeah, that's the only thing to unlearn.
So don't take too long. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I mean, I'm saying don't overthink it if you can, because there's a certain things have a certain magic in the moment, and I think that's what happened to me also. Some When I was writing, a lot of the early years when I was after Dhobi Ghat writing, is that there was a lot of sort of not going with the initial instinct of it, rethinking and doubting, self doubt
There was a
first.
lot of. Are you very easy with compliments? Like
No,
you
I'm not
flinch a
good.
lot.
I'm not good with compliments. Yeah,
So
I think that's because of a deep imposter syndrome. And the whole thing is like, nah, no, no. Actually, this film though has made me much better, because I've seen real genuine love. When I've come out in with audiences, like this time when I was in LA, we had a screening, and I went right before the Q&A. I went to the loo. So the film was finished, and just it was a couple of minutes of credits, and the loo was really, it was a small ladies loo, and a lady came in, and she was in tears, and she told some other lady standing there, and she was like, it was such a beautiful film. She was like in tears, and I was like, yay, how lovely. And she looked at me like,
what's with
what's
you?
with you? So I said, I'm the director. So she was like, give me a hug. And that give me a hug kind of like feeling I've got from so many people. Is like that there's a genuine like affection for the film.
Kiran, is there like a feminine gaze and a like you worked with Ashutosh, you worked with Meera, and of course there's you, and I know all of you, whether it's Zoya and all of you, Ayan, and I'm sure as filmmakers you'll discuss this, but is there like a definite where you can give me an example where, see, this is the feminine gaze, this is the male gaze?
I really think that, I mean, it's very possible for a man to have a very non-gendered, or let's say feminine gaze. I think it's possible to be the reverse also, for women to have a male gaze. It really depends on how sensitive you're being to your subject. How are you exploiting them in a particular way to kind of what is that narrative you're building towards? Like, why are you doing it? Is there a reason? So intention, I think, and sensitivity determine the gaze, in my opinion. And it's quite possible for many women to be like, okay, this is what sells, and I'll do it. So it's not like just because you're a woman you would have a feminine, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
do think being a woman, or being gay, or being from a different caste means that you come with or a certain perspective that perhaps a cis male director would
Does
not
not have.
would not have, because they've not experienced the things you have. So you would bring some of that nuance, hopefully, to what you do, and that's what I think people perhaps call a feminine or a not male gaze. I don't know. I think it's also, it goes beyond just being a woman. You know, it it means
It's what your politics is basically.
exactly,
No,
exactly.
if you had to do something differently about Lapata Ladies.
If I could shoot it in less days, I would.
Hmm.
If I could, if I could have had the release date planned and marketing, like kind of like, because that was again something completely new that I was doing after so long.
Hmm.
Marketing a film is a whole other beast. So I feel like I could have marketed and done that whole release distribution thing differently.
Hmm.
I learned a lot about sort of marketing and distribution on this.
So, what are the tips?
For films like mine, which are small and with non-stars, um, of course, you wait. We kind of showed it widely to critics, which was great because people really liked the film, and we word of mouth built. But what's happened now, I've realized, is everything has pretty much moved to the influencer world, and it's a sad reality. But I had no idea how much reach one could have got in the areas that we wanted, because I really wanted the film to go to tier 2 towns, tier 3 towns. Made it for that, and to reach those centers, it would have been much better had I got tier 2 influencers rather than try and show it to all our Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, the big cities. Because traditional media is, I mean, I don't know what the purchase for it is anymore. People find their news in kinds of all kinds of ways, and honestly, this is a word of mouth film.
Hmm.
Critics are not as important as your neighbor telling you, your mom telling you. How many people, even when I was traveling in the US, said my mother told me I have to watch this. My mother's seen it 6 times. That kind of is what tells people you have to see it. WhatsApp groups. So I think I have learned that for this kind of film, traditional marketing just can't work. You have to do uh, via like social media marketing, of course, more targeted, kind of geo targeted ads, and kind of like, I don't know, create a slightly different meme based, that kind of campaign, because you're going to an audience that's not necessarily coming to your. I wanted to go to an audience that's not coming necessarily to the big PVRs.
Yeah.
The other issue though, Jitish, is there's nothing else. There's only the big multiplexes now. There's
No single
the big
screens.
single screens have kind of died, and that's in some ways I feel a crisis for our industry. I don't know. We've lost a lot of audience that will only come if you're making Pushpa 2. They're not coming out to see the small films necessarily, because it's just not at a price point that people can afford. So I don't know. I feel like it'll probably sort itself out at some point, but we have to find novel ways to
Like probably more
reach our audience.
more people saw your film on Netflix rather than went to the theater,
Probably,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I would imagine so. At any rate, if it had been like the day we did a 99 rupee ticket for Women's Day, every single cinema was full. It was just 100% occupancy everywhere. It just tells you that when you're 300 rupees, when your popcorn is 450 rupees and your ticket is 300 rupees, it just becomes really difficult to go and see a film.
How are you with actors? How do you direct? I have to tell you some very funny stories. So
Yeah.
Varun Dhawan told me he auditioned
Ah,
for
Dhobi Ghat, yeah, I can
and he
imagine.
flunked, and then of course Pratik. So I'm just curious to know,
Yeah.
like, how are you with actors?
He was really good, actually, also, I must add. With actors, I really love working with actors. Actually, acting is my great, I don't know, pleasure.
I think Junaid said in an interview, you're the best actor in the family or something.
Did he? Well, I used to act in college and school. That was like I was the
Yeah.
clown in the class. Every time the teacher had like, okay, 10 minutes I left for the class, Kiran, come stand on stage and say something. So I
Yeah.
would just be on stage and doing some nonsense to
Really?
entertain people. Yeah. It's through acting that I hit the tone of everything else. Like performance for me determines everything else. Like I'm not, of course I'm interested in how they're framed, I'm interested in color, I'm interested in texture, but performance for me is literally it underpins the structure of everything for me. um and I think that's the most fun. Like I feel, how do I approach it? I kind of, I mean, the actor in me knows what I need from the actor, basically. So I know what exactly I'm going for, and it helps to do readings, it helps to do workshops. But then on the day, if I'm not getting it, I just do it for them, and I'm like, just do exactly this, and then I get it.
So you're not Bhansali-esque. You don't scream and shout. Do you
Oh
shout
no,
at your actors
no,
and all
chi
of
chi,
that?
not at all.
No?
Never. I mean, it's one. It's of course, it's the most stressful job, being an actor. Imagine that you have to keep 1,000 things in mind and still forget that you're doing a job. You have to be that good that you're walking in a, you have to hit a mark. You have to look in a particular place, and you have to, you, there can be cut at the time when you're reaching your best moment. It'll be cut because of some random thing, and you have to rebuild that energy. It's the hardest job. See, for everyone else, you're not, at least you can, you know, nobody knows that you're making a mess of things. But when you're an actor, I mean, it's the, you're on, literally on test all the time. So I would never shout at an actor. I might do 45 takes. It has
You
happened.
have?
Yeah,
Tell
it
me,
has
give me an
happened.
example.
Jaya, when she first reaches the house and she lifts her ghungat, it's a very critical scene because she is thinking on the spot. She is not. I mean, I know these are spoilers. I don't know how much people who are watching this may not have seen it, but she is winging it, right? And you need to feel that like there's something sus about her, but it has to also be believable. Like she can't be like overly that kind of thing. So she's actually also scared because
Yeah,
she
yeah.
doesn't know this world she's come into.
Mm.
But she's like, okay, they don't know who I mean, you know, this might be a good chance. So that was a very tricky scene for her to play, and I thought did it really well. But hitting those marks with all the other actors, it was a very big kind of like village. The whole village is in the house kind of scene. I did lots of takes. Poor Pratibha. She's not just very patient. She's an absolute professional, and absolutely every take would give her best. I mean, I have to say,
And it's her first film,
her
right?
first film, she's just like all of them. Honestly, their first film, Pratibha, Sparsh, Nitanshi, all of them were incredibly, like perseverant. Is that the word? Persevering.
Persevering.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very good. Anyway, all actors have to be, but these guys really were. And they have the talent, so it was great. So I hope I didn't torture them too much.
Did you make usually newcomers become Frankenstein's monsters? Did it happen?
I don't know. You'll have to tell me. You let them after the film.
That's a separate conversation.
In private.
And now to the big looming question. Everybody knows Amir Ghosh directs his film, and you kept him away from the set. So when you finally showed it to him, I believe he wanted to do Ravi Kishan's role, and you said nothing of that
Yeah.
rubbish you can't do.
Yeah.
But
But you know, he does not ghost direct. This is a
Myth.
myth. He is very inclusive in his filmmaking.
Huh.
He argues if he wants to make a point and tries to convince his director, but all his directors have made the films they wanted to make, which is why they're so different. Like whether it's Delhi Belly or, you know, whatever, any of the films. So he does not ghost direct, but he has strong opinions. And you have to convince him of what you want. And he is actually one of the more understanding kind of producers I would have ever encountered, who wants the best for the film. So he's arguing not because he's got, you know, some axe to grind, but
Correct.
he really has a perspective. So even on him being Manohar, it was a discussion. He really wanted to play Manohar, and I really felt like that we would be tipping the balance a little bit if he was in the film. And he did a test for it, which was really good, as could be expected.
But you were
So-
using your power structure there, not taking him
Yeah,
on.
it wasn't even power structure. We sat and chatted about it a lot. We did the test. We were like, let's do the test. First, see if you fit it. He could fit it. I mean, you can see him playing this role. But this is why I say that he does not, like, in any way ghost direct. He absolutely, then once you've convinced him or he sees what you want to say, then he is completely behind you. So we both agreed after that, and he will continue to say, "Arey, if you had taken me, dekho ek star to, you would have." But honestly, I think he was equally excited about Ravi Kishan. Once he knew that Ravi was keen to do it, he was like, great choice.
Bang on.
Because he
Yeah.
was so bang on
Yeah.
that Amir was delighted actually. That he was like, best choice. Now I don't feel so bad about not doing it.
So what did he say when he saw you? Saw the final, not final cut. Something you must have shown him at the end of your shooting.
The first cut, he kind of liked it. We knew what we had to change. Like, our first cuts are usually with a huge group of people, so we got feedback, and some of the feedback was very negative from one or two people.
Yeah. Like
So
what?
I
What?
got,
Tell me.
no, they were like बहुत boring है beginning. It was really
Oh.
slow, बहुत slow है. This one's someone's character is not coming through. It's not funny. Some few people.
But like
felt
fully
that.
edited film,
No,
or just
first
the
cut.
rushes?
No, first cut.
Oh, first cut.
So a couple of people didn't like it. But broadly the rest of them knew what we were going for, and we were like, it's good. थोड़ा ये slow,
Yeah,
beginning slow
yeah.
है, but I got really quite, like, I don't know, worried about it. But he's very that way accustomed to taking feedback and using it well, and he kind of like was like, don't worry, we know what exactly they're saying, and now we'll work on it. And honestly, the fact was that the beginning, we were finding it hard to make people realize that it's a comedy, because in the original script, when Phool leaves home, there's a song. I was just telling you earlier
Yeah,
that there's
yeah.
a song. So that song was in a boat and her whole journey, and the song was the song that's coming in the end now, Dheeme Dheeme. So bahut, it's a bittersweet song about leaving
Beautiful
one
song.
life behind and starting a new journey. And it was putting people into that frame of mind ki haay bechari chali gayi, abhi akeli ja rahi hai, that whole frame of mind of feeling worried for her. So it wasn't a comedy. It didn't feel like a light piece of filmmaking, right?
Mhm.
Khair, I cut it down to as tight as I could, because I thought, is it length? Is it length? Is the song too long? Etc. And we did what we could, but it was the tone, and it took me some time after two cuts, two edits, that I completely changed it. I took out the song altogether, and I made a new piece that was very truncated and tight, and made the journey a lot more fun. And they're coming together. They're like, she starts a little dur from him, and then they come closer through the journey. I did it very short. In that Beda Par song, it's like one antara. So that really completely changed the vibe of it. Everyone, began to enjoy it more. So Amir that way didn't at all get worried by it, and he actually really liked the first cut also. He was like, it's good, yeah, it's working. We just have like some points, but we do a lot of testing here, Jitesh.
Focus
Which
groups.
is amazing. Amir Khan
Okay.
Productions has really benefited from years of actually showing it to audiences and getting kind of really raw feedback, and then processing it the way we want, because we show it to like sometimes 500 people in groups of like 50 or 20, 25. This film also, we must have shown at least 150 people before we did the final cut, and that actually helps us fine tune it.
How was it like dating a star? Like you met on the sets of Lagan and all of that. Did it at any time daunt you? Because like you come from this absolutely normal, real family. I mean, of course, knowing whatever little I know of Ahmed, they also are very non-filmy, non-Bollywood in that sense. But at any point, did it like, oh wow, and like you're not the cookie cutter girl
Not at all.
or the wife for that
Yeah.
matter.
Yes.
So did it seem like what was the romance heady? Obviously you romance in a time when there was no social media.
Yeah.
So you got saved.
Yeah,
I was,
really,
you know,
absolutely.
I remember a very funny story, sweet story. You didn't have a mobile phone when you were on Swades,
Yeah.
so you would Amir would message on Ayan's phone. I remember
Yeah.
there was some, you know,
Yeah, we had various ways of communicating pre
Yeah.
mobile and pre internet. Like internet wasn't there everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
some
And you were
places you
shooting
had to
at
go somewhere and
Vahi.
stand on a hill to get like
Yeah,
network. And
yeah.
yeah, we were shooting in Y. That's actually
Yeah.
the beginning of the romance in 2004. I was shooting Swadesh, he was shooting
Okay.
Mangal Pandey.
Hmm.
And because I'd kind of known him as a producer and kind of worked with him, I knew we got on like we had done commercials with Ashu.
Oh, okay.
To, you know, Coke commercials. So after Lagan, I lost touch with him. Then in about 2003, they were doing all these Thanda Matlab Coca-Cola ads, which Ashu made.
Okay.
So I kind of reconnected with him, and that's actually where we started hanging out more together. And I, you know, like you said, he's not a very filmy person.
Not at
you know,
all.
not at all. So you know, how we hung out with like two people who had common interests and lots to chat about. And yeah, the fact that he's a star, because I think I'd worked on Lagan and seen how he
Up
works.
close
He's
and
not
personal.
at all starry on a set. He'll hold a cutter or a, you know, like reflector if need be. He's a very much one of the crew members, and that made me not like think of it so much because I really knew him. You know, I knew what he's like. So all that baggage of stardom I didn't
Was
have
not
to take
there.
only. And yeah, he knew that I was this kind of person. So it was up to him to figure, like, I guess he didn't expect me to fit into any mold also. And so there was no, you know, kind of trouble set kind of fit. I just didn't have the clothes for so many occasions. That was one of the main issues in life, is that I had to quickly get a good wardrobe.
But
Yeah.
is that true? Did you have to?
I did. I mean, I got some nice clothes. I was otherwise like a fashion street and like, you know, whatever. I used to stitch clothes, get my clothes stitched, you know, like what regular people do.
Huh.
So I used to even then like fashion, but I couldn't afford anything very, designer, though not at all.
Huh.
So that was the only thing that changed. And perhaps that was the only fun starry thing that I didn't mind getting from him. Was like, oh yeah, I get new pairs of shoes and
But
some
like,
clothes.
what performances of his have you liked?
Before, in the early days, I actually really enjoyed Rangila. I though loved Kayamat Se Kayamat Tak, but I was, you know, like a kid, and that was a different kind of. But his performance wise, I liked apna John's film
Sarfarosh.
Sarfarosh very much. Dil Chahta Hai was fun, but Lagan, I mean, obviously, it just was for me a really like
I worked on it.
I worked on it.
Yeah.
I have a special love for it. I feel though, and this is like obviously chota muh badi baat type, but I feel like he's great in Dhobi Ghat. I love him in my film. Best.
How is it like directing spouse? Nerve wracking.
So, not nerve wracking, but poor chap, I think I tortured him a little bit because, you know, I would be like, no, you can't, like, he would give some suggestion. I'd be like, no, this, like, do it like this, do it like, you know, because also it was my first film and there was a panic. Firstly, it was so tiny budget, micro budget, and there was a panic that I wouldn't get to do what I wanted to do, which actually was, you know, I was very patient with everybody else because obviously I couldn't shout at anybody else and I had to seem like I knew what I was doing with everybody else.
Yeah.
But with Amir, I could snap because he's my husband. So I was like, so at one point after the first day or something, he was like, listen, you know,
Calm down.
I'm an actor. Right now, I'm not the producer or your husband. Treat me like one of the other actors. Now, please take my suggestions. Be calm. Explain to me nicely. So I was like, oh, okay, sorry. But it was otherwise quite wonderful because he, you know how he is. He jumps into everything head first. We were shooting in Muhammad Ali Road in one of the more crowded parts of town, and he actually had to. We figured that him going and coming would be impossible. So he lived in that house for that period when we were shooting. He slept there. I would go home and he would stay on set in that room. And it helped him, I suppose, also get into character, and he just felt like Arun the artist and all that. So that was really fun also because we got him to do things he would never have done. That operation of him walking through Muhammad Ali Road during Ramzan, that shot, The way
Crazy.
we choreographed it, it's like crazy. It's not possible. Now when I think about it, I don't know how we did it. We had a 2-camera setup in Muhammad Ali Road,
Mhm.
shooting 2 16 millimeters. He, we took him by bike with a helmet so that nobody could tell that it was him, to the top of the road, right? And then we would roll the camera and we said just walk and do what you want to see, and we'll follow, we'll try and catch you wherever. One was higher, one was lower, the camera, and we just kept. And people, the thing is, it was so much, there was such gardi, so much crowd, that
Didn't
as
register.
people would walk past, they would realize that it's him, but by the time they realized and turned around, there was more people, so he was just like relentlessly moving. And they, so then after, if you watch the shot later, there's a whole crowd running behind as he leaves the gully. But we managed to shot, and then we said, like, get him in a car. One take we got, get him in a car and get him out of there, and he went off. And then later I said, can we do one more take? Like, so we had to wait, like, because everybody then said, noticed our cameras, and they were like, because we had hidden the cameras from the afternoon.
Hum.
So then they were like, oh, so then we had to take the cameras down, pretend we are not shooting. And then we came back and we tried another take. It wasn't as good, but
Guerrilla.
yeah, guerrilla style. And I think, I think he also enjoyed the excitement of that.
So you were separated and all of that. I saw pictures of Ira's wedding, and there's you and there's Reena, and there's it's all wonderful. And I mean, the closest I've probably seen is Meghna's parents, Gulzar Saab and Rakhi. It is absolutely wonderful how you've managed. How have you managed? Because see, when a divorce happens, there's a lot of unpleasant feelings. And did a lot of water have to flow under the bridge? How do you reach this? And because it's fabulous.
It happened a little smoothly. One is because it took us time to get to a place where we were ready to be divorced. It's like we worked on our marriage really well for a long time, and then even when we wanted to get divorced, it was very mindfully done. It wasn't done like, oh, just some fights, and we never
Correct.
fought. We've not fought. Like, we never, like, we would have arguments from time to time, but nothing that won't be resolved in like 12 hours, that kind of regular what you have with your parents. Same. So I think one was the fact that we just knew that there was too much to save about this relationship, that we didn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So we worked it out in a way that, like, you can just chop a rope in half, or you can untie that knot. Either you cut it or you untie it. And I think we took a little bit of time to untie it in a nice way, so that there was closure in some ways. There was sort of building the confidence of family, building Azad's support system, the idea that, like, he should not at any point feel the repercussions of this emotionally. um, and so we planned it in that kind of way. um, I think one of the main things is that we still have so much love and respect for each other, which I think, like you said, maybe Gulzar Saab and Rakhi have, is like, we don't want to be married, but that doesn't mean we don't like each other or we don't love each other as family.
No, I've not seen
You know?
this at all. I mean, 90% of marriage is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And this something like this is very what is the word? Organic. You cannot fake it.
Yeah.
You cannot fake it.
You
something
can't.
like that.
I mean, and I feel like there's in any marriage, there's things that you don't like about your spouse, right? There's always something that bothers you about the other person, some trigger that always gets you going and always makes you both fight. But there's also reasons why you married this person. There's things that you love about them.
And also, he's your friend, no?
He's your friend. I mean,
That
at
is
least
the
in
core.
this case for me,
Yeah.
he was my friend. He was in many ways a teacher. He was in many ways like a real support system. Like, he's a been a very, very supportive figure in my life. But there are days when he'll infuriate me, like, so there's that.
What about him infuriates you?
No, like, there's, in any kind of relationship, there'll be something that sets you off, and it's sometimes you can't put your finger on it. Like, it's a tone of voice, or it's an argument about something that you've always disagreed on. There's so many things that we all can disagree on, right? And it's really choosing what you want to retain. Do you want to retain the, like, kind of
Essence.
bad vibes, or do you want to actually hang on to what worked for many, many years? We were married for 17 years. So So I think that's what worked, is that we chose to keep the best parts of our relationship and lose what didn't work by getting divorced. So I often say I'm happily divorced because we both are like quite happy in this newfound divorcee kind of relationship with each other,
Yeah.
because we have so much history together, we have a child together, and we have family in that sense.
Yeah.
We consider each other properly family. His mother is my mother-in-law still,
Yeah.
and same for him.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think even
And
the
his kids are my friends. I mean, his kids are very, very dear to me. So it's it's something that I would not give up. Certainly not for some, you know,
piece
arguments
of
that we
paper.
might, yeah, or a piece of paper. It's not worth it. I feel like you know, nothing should make you regret like the years you've spent together. It's
That's lovely, Kiran. I mean, I'm telling you, I've like you see it with Javed Saab and Shabana and Honey or something like,
hmm,
but you don't see it around. I mean, that
not
takes
often.
a
Yeah.
lot of generosity of spirit,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of hurt and resentment when a marriage gets over. So like you said, yeah, you took your time to arrive
Yeah,
at this.
I think looking at the glass half full rather than half empty. You know,
That's
it's that
beautiful.
kind of way of looking at it.
It's
Because there's
beautiful.
always going to be things that don't work, and that's why you separate it, right? But the things that worked, you have to kind of keep reminding yourself.
And tell me, you as a mother, are you
Hmm.
like this frenetic mother who's worried about brain rot because of social media? And are you constantly telling Azad, you're monitoring his timings? See, the thing is, I don't think the
It's a
social media,
tricky
no?
thing, bro. It's
Yeah.
very tricky. I mean, because actually now it's become literally like a tool that's as, I mean, they use like literally how we used pens. You know, it's a tool. It's no longer,
No, even schools have
it's a way
WhatsApp
to communicate,
groups. Yeah.
literally.
How old
So
is he
not
now?
social, just turned 13. He's not getting on social media for a while. But he's on YouTube. That is a kind of social media.
Yeah.
He's playing games. Those are sometimes multiplayer. So he's engaging with people online, which is for a parent can be quite frightening, because there's all kinds of things that happen, to kids online. But so I'm worried not just about, of course, the dangers of online behavior and how they can influence the mind, but also the fact that certain traditional ways of communication have just gone. Like you do not read, for instance, and
Does he read? Does he read?
not really, no.
He was playing the electronic guitar and all
He
that.
plays the guitar. He likes to read manga and things, but not so much novels. I mean, he reads. At one point, I was like, I hope he's going to be able to read, like learn to read and write at least. But he's that way. He's a good kid, and he's not been at all difficult to rein in at so far. But you can't, like, this is a slippery slope for any parent, because you can't say no entirely, because this is actually one way that they connect with their peer group. They all leave school, come home, and they're playing on a game with the same friends from school, and they're talking to each other. So they could be in the same room looking at separate devices, and that's them connecting with each other. It's a new world.
Surreal,
And at the
no?
same time, like, they'll go out and then they'll play football, or they'll,
So he
go
does
on the
that. I mean,
trampoline.
they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they do need to be encouraged, because whatever you say, it is highly addictive, highly. And it's you don't realize, like, also people like us who are perhaps on Instagram, before you know it, an hour has passed, right? And you've been
Yeah,
scrolling,
yeah.
and you've gone into somebody's food,
Doom scrolling.
yeah, food gram, and you're like learning how to make some, and you're
No, it's
like,
crazy.
one
There's a
minute, what
cat
happened?
video and there's Gaza, and there's obvious.
Yeah, that kind of like crazy,
It's
almost
schizophrenic, no?
completely.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I worry, like any other person, about what it's doing to our emotional sense of anything.
But does he show interest
Because
in filmmaking and or acting or anything?
not really, no,
No.
not yet. I think Amir has been, because I was away for a longish period, so he was spending a lot more time with Amir. So Amir's been, kind of including him in narrations and taking him to the edit, and so I'm hoping that slowly he'll get interested in our business and our work. But I don't know.
Your family was also the first, one of the first few people to talk about mental health. You know, whether it was Ira and Imran spoke about his. What did you ever have to go through therapy and some sort of? It's not for any other
Yeah,
reason. It's
yeah,
just
it's
it's just a
very,
supplement.
yeah, no, therapy is, I think, one of the most, I feel, I mean, at one point stigmatized, and now
Yeah,
hopefully not so. But
yeah,
it's a life raft for so many people. It keeps
yeah.
so many people happy and in a frame of mind that they feel like they can
Uh,
deal with life. So I highly recommend.
Even Amir spoke about it in an
Amir
interview,
has
no?
has got an amazing therapist, and I mean, that therapy is something that, in fact, I might be the only person in my friend group who doesn't have a therapist. All my friends have therapists, and have very different relationships with each. That you don't go to a therapist because you have a problem
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly.
So, analysis and therapy both. So I kind of feel really happy that especially Ira has done something I feel that's just so valuable to bring attention to the whole mental health
Yeah,
space,
yeah, yeah.
address it in a very personal way, and create kind of resources and solutions for people struggling with with issues ranging from small to very debilitating.
Mm.
And I myself felt like I had learned a whole lot of new stuff, because honestly, I've I've never felt the driving need to go to therapy, but it's always been an interesting idea that I'd love to go to therapist, because we all struggle with
Mm.
different kinds of
Of course, of course.
issues. And yeah, I feel very, very proud of what Ira has created with
Oh, no,
Agatsu.
fabulous. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
amazing. I don't know if you've been
Amazing.
to her community center.
No, but I saw
It's really
some
cute.
write-ups and I saw
Yeah.
her interviews with Amir.
Please
There was
come
a
one day. It's a little
100%.
little villa in Bandra where she's got these activities for people. Anyone can just walk in, participate.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's art or movement or talks that she has, resources, a small library, and place reading room where you can just sit and work. Just places where people can connect, because I think what technology and social media has done is also just kind of make us become really insular and into our own worlds, and our
Yeah.
insecurities then just climb on top of us. So it's a place to actually connect with other people and other ideas. So it would be lovely. Please come.
In your middle ages, like all of us,
Mhm.
how do you as a director create safe spaces for your actors? Is there?
So we take this having an ICC very seriously. In fact, my editor says you're the only office I've been to where like it's up on the wall. We are zero tolerance to any kind of predatory type of behavior.
Have
Any
you had experiences when you were an
No,
AD?
I have not personally, but I know many people who
Yeah.
have. Not on the sets, because I actually really only
Girls or
work with a
boys or
few.
both?
Yeah, I mean more girls than boys, but yeah, I mean it can be both, honestly. And it's more just the use of power in the workplace. So sort of making workplace safety is ultimately our responsibility, and I take that seriously in terms of having ready resources on the call sheet in the office. Anyone needs to reach out, there are numbers, and you can call, because it can't be us, it has to be a committee,
Mm.
so that there is objectivity and fairness in hearing out the person, and that slight degree of distance. So um, that's what I try to create. Of course, the idea is hire as many women as men, and then you won't have women feeling so like alone in a in that group of men, which is what tends to happen, that there are not enough women on a set that you can even discuss things with when you're feeling worried about something, or there's no person that is assigned to deal with this. So having an ICC is absolutely essential. Knowing your rights as a crew member is very essential. I was part of the we had that uh, what's it called, like a subcommittee at the guild, where we were kind of trying to uh, have workshops for other producers to know what this whole thing is. um, and I think the Hindi film industry has, at that point, had, when the whole Me Too thing happened, at that point there was a lot of cognizance of the lack of, you know, transparency. Who can we go to? How does one complain? How power works? There was some calling out, but not enough sort of positive action, affirmative action, by creating those, spaces and ways in which women can, kind of air their grievances.
Do you get into that space where they say, "Rehne do na, Kiran, let
No,
it
not
all,"
at all.
where people tell you ki, jaise,
No,
because it's commerce. So
no.
if you are with this, you make your monies, you go ahead, and then otherwise you stand out like a sore thumb.
No, no, I
And
think it's not such a big deal also. One has to address it because it's a human problem. Like, if someone's feeling under threat for whatever reason and they are in your crew and you're on set and you're far away from home, it's your responsibility just to make sure that they're okay. And it's happened to us. It's happened to us where someone's come to us to say that they have X problem, and there has been a course of action to deal with it, because you have to create a safe space. Nobody is going to be able to function without it, and unfortunately there are many sets in which that doesn't happen, which is why it's really important for us to ensure that there are ICCs, that those ICC numbers are available to everyone in any workplace. Huh? It's not just in films, anywhere, media, whether it's corporate, anywhere. It needs to be in every space, well, kind of displayed, so that a girl doesn't have to go to some directory to find the number. It should be there. Reach out for this number, these are the people to contact. If it's made as simple as that, at least your intention is very clear. We are not kidding around. We take this seriously. And also, all kinds of things constitute sexual harassment,
yeah.
including sending bizarre text messages, right? Lots of men are not aware of it. They are sending any old message anytime, middle of the night, calling a person. That's all part of harassment. So we hold workshops before we do a workshop before each shoot. That's a way to do it.
Wow.
Ki bhai, you're all going to work together now. This is what it is. Just in case you thought it was cool to just keep texting a girl repeatedly, don't. Unless she's really interested in you and responds.
Is there anyone else in your friend circle who would call out your bluff if you're bullshitting or feeling suddenly that the sun shines from my backside? Is there somebody who
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I have
yeah,
enough friends who are like, I have lots of friends who are
yeah?
constantly making fun of me, and I'm very lucky like that. My friends are my family, honestly. I
Hmm.
have so many good, like, wonderful friends here in Bombay, lots of friends, also in other parts of the country and world. So yeah, I'm kept firmly on the ground.
No, but more power to you for the Oscars. And is Lapata Ladies going to be your Sholay for all
Oh,
practical purposes?
my God. It's
I
taking
really
taking
hope you
breath.
guys make it into the best foreign film category, and that will be superb. You make the cut,
Yeah,
and you get the
yeah.
nomination. It'll be superb. And here's is an audience which wants to ask you a
Oh,
few
yay.
questions.
Hello. So basically, I have a couple of friends who want to be filmmakers, but the biggest problem that they are facing currently is whenever they go to pitch a project or anything of that sort, they are told that, okay, if horror comedies are working, you write something like that. Or if, films from the South are working, you treat a film like that and bring it. What would you tell them? Because they are also struggling with, finding their own voice in a place where people just want them to
This
make certain
is
things.
indeed a problem that not just they are facing, even we are facing. Anyone making films is kind of like being told that this is now working or that is not happening, and more often than not, where we thought maybe OTTs would open up the space for non-actors and non-stars and small and unusual projects. Actually, everything is moving towards the formula of stars, big projects, action, horror, you know. So it is unfortunately the zeitgeist at the moment, and honestly, that's, I think, what's working business wise, and that's why it happens like that. I would just say to them, don't stop writing, and thanks to how technology has enabled us really and democratized the medium, I would say go out and try and make your film as a short, as a pitch project yourself. It really works. Like, there was Half Nelson was a film with Ryan Gosling many years ago. and it actually got funded after they made a short about it on that subject, and then they got financing for the film. Ryan Gosling was unheard of then.
Sure.
So I do think that you can't give up if you really believe in a subject and you think it's worth a story worth telling. You find a way to kind of make it interesting to financiers. I think everybody gets sold on your passion, on your belief, on like how much you feel this story needs to be told.
किरण, आपको लगता है कि अभी सिनेमा काफ़ी चेंज हो चुका है इन टर्म्स ऑफ राइटिंग और फीमेल कैरेक्टर्स, या और चेंजेस की ज़रूरत है अभी?
मेरे ख्याल में अब बहुत सारे ऐसे फिल्म मेकर्स हैं जिनको औरतों की कहानियाँ पसंद है, बोलना पसंद है, कैरेक्टर्स डेवलप करने में मज़ा आता है, पर मजॉरिटी फिल्म मेकर्स को अभी भी लगता है कि एक मेल हीरो होना चाहिए. आप स्टेटिस्टिकली देखें तो औरतों के जो लीड रोल्स हैं जहाँ उनको कुछ करने को मिलता है वो बहुत कम है. तो गुंजाइश तो बहुत है, बहुत करने को बाकी है मेरे हिसाब से. Even in Hollywood, actually, it was interesting. Someone who is actually works in a trade internationally was saying that when it comes to actually lead female actors, like a lead actress nominations, there are not as much as supporting actress nominations, because supporting actress में बहुत सारे अच्छे roles होते हैं, लेकिन lead role जो औरतों का की होते हैं इतने नहीं होते, where the film is kind of like the arc is stronger.
I
of the
find that
woman.
here also. The supporting are far more well written.
Exactly. So
Far more
then
well
it's easier, no? You have a very interesting whatever, but the majority of the roles are of romantic leads. तो I think पर आप देखने जाएं तो औरतों की तादाद राइटिंग में, डायरेक्शन में बहुत बढ़ गई है. 20 साल की बात अगर देखें तो एक्चुअली उम्मीद तो ये है कि बढ़ता जाएगा और ऐसी कहानियाँ लोग बोलना चाहेंगे और देखना चाहेंगे. क्रू जैसी फिल्मों ने दिखाया है कि बॉक्स ऑफिस में भी ये बहुत अच्छा कर सकती हैं. तो हो सकता है कि और भी ऐसे
Were you the only AD, female AD on Lagan those days?
No, in fact, we were three out of four were with females.
Really?
Yeah, there was Rima Kagti, there was me, and there was Priyamana Narayanan.
Okay.
Apurva Lakhia was the only boy.
So you spoke about safety of women in workspace and the Me Too phase. So, and recently we have seen in the Malayalam film industry a lot of women have come out with their stories of sexual harassment. And so from Me Too to Hema Committee report, has anything really changed for women in the industry? What do you feel?
Very, very honestly speaking, I don't think the needle has moved greatly. I don't think things have changed enough. At that point, like I said, at the guild, we really tried to educate people about the law. Insist that, because as a guild, all the members are voluntary, so we couldn't actually force people to create ICCs, but we made it kind of like, one of the things that the guild required that people do. But I think that was the most proactive that anybody has been in all the film industries across the country, what the Producers Guild in Bombay did. And some companies definitely followed suit, but not everyone. I don't know of everyone. And if you go to, forget the film industry, you go across to any other industry, whether it's textiles or, banking or anywhere else, where are the ICCs? Are there robust, systems in place for women to...
And even those who were implicated, they're out scot-free.
Yeah.
Like, they're
So
out
I
of...
feel like there's a lot of work required, and I think the Hema Committee report is one of the most crucial and important things that have happened. Crucial for us to take that and make changes. The WCC is just incredible that what they've achieved, and I salute them, and I'm 100% there if they need anything. And in fact, I'm really keen to see how the Bombay film industry can support them and do a similar thing here, because what they've done is for film in general. They have really done, they've worked on the ground to improve systems for all of us.
Payal Kapadia's All We Imagine as Light has got 2 nominations at the Golden Globes. It's so exciting. What is your take on the movie, and how are you feeling with, Indian female filmmakers having this kind of spotlight and internationally.
I'm so excited that she's got all these
Yeah.
nominations.
I
It's
forgot to ask you
amazing.
about it,
Of course,
actually.
the win at Cannes.
Superb.
I haven't seen the film myself because I've been all over the place, and I'm hoping it's playing somewhere in Bombay now. I can after this week go and see it. But it's such an exciting time. All these wonderful new voices of women, strong, and each of us very different in what we are doing.
yeah.
And I mean, I feel incredible pride looking at what Payal's achieved, at what Shuchi's achieved, at Guneet, that so many people now in our industry who, you can actually kind of follow their body of work, kind of see a trend building. And I think that really is what excites me, is that I feel we're at the beginning of something,
Wow.
a wave that I'm hoping will continue for a
You're the
very,
cusp of something.
very
really.
long time. So yeah, a great deal of pride in what Payal's achieved, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that in the best film race that she gets nominated as well. It'll be amazing because she can quite easily be in best film with Jacques Audiard and all the other people who she's competing with in the Globes.
Do you think Secret Superstar remains very underrated in India as in China it earns more than 700 crores?
Yeah, I do think, but it did really well comparatively for a film which was mainly fronted by a young woman who was unknown, really, in a sense. Zaira was not a star in that way, and Amir's part is kind of a supporting role. So it did quite well. It did 70 plus, almost 80 CR in India. So,
But why it worked in China? मैं समझा नहीं चीज़ को.
I mean, they really connected with the story.
So did
because
films
it's
like
such a-
Dangal and all that. They
Yeah.
were crazy.
दंगल ने यहाँ तो I think 300 there 3000 or something. Same 10 times. China does 10 times the business. But I think it's certainly a gem that people should discover if they haven't seen it yet.
So more power to you, and I'm really, really glad we could finally sit down and chat after your whirlwind phase.
I've been meaning to for so long. So nice to chat.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you so much. It was lovely. I hope you had fun.
I did. I didn't feel like we were on camera and like I'm fully relaxed and chatting with you.